Light Deep Dive. I'm Steve Denuser.
And I'm Taryn Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting and the story of Dragonflight.
We've got this great expansion, exciting pre-render trailer that everyone just watched. So let's talk about the setting for Dragonflight, the Dragon Isles.
Dragon Isles have been known for a long time in Warcraft history as a mysterious place where the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
We're going to this place that is kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they nested, where they built their civilization. The Dragon Isles was the center of the Dragon's kingdom when the world was young and the mortal races were just starting to form kingdoms of their own. But when the Legion invaded for that War of the Ancients, that sundering that resulted from the explosion of the Well of Eternity,
literal
broke the world.
Literal sundering of the continents of Azeroth.
And because of the breaking of the world, that magic kind of drained away and the land went dormant. So they had to leave the Dragon Isles behind. And as we saw in the pre-render, they left behind some Titan Watchers to look over the land. And when someday they hoped that elemental energy would resurge once again and draw the dragons home.
Dude, there's so much history that can be explored
here.
When
the message goes out to the flights and they feel it in their bones.
Now it's the time for the sky to light up with the colors of the aspects once again, and for Alex Straza and the others to come home. But the land has changed a lot in all these thousands of years they've been away, and some very old threats have awakened as well.
We're looking into the culture of dragons as they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons, as we know them today, were very different in the early past, the early history of Azeroth. They were much more primitive, much more savage, what we now know as proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons were empowered to become the aspects. The green flight, red flight, blue flight, bronze flight, black flight, each with unique powers, each with the ability to protect the world in different ways. These pillars of draconic power appointed to defend Azeroth from threats within and without.
Dragons used that power both for good, in the case of most of the aspects, but also for nefarious reasons in the case of the Black Dragonflight led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will find in Dragonflight is that some of these ancient divisions run deep. And so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be the protectors, as the cinematic mentioned, that they once were.
To do that, they're going to need the help of our heroes, our players, to come to the Dragon Isles with them and face some of these reawakening challenges, because it's not just that this land is peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well.
Yeah.
One of those being a race of kind of elemental half-giants, the Jarradin.
The Dragon Isles isn't just populated by dragons or just by the Jarradin. There's also many other occupants here in the Dragon Isles that have been here either just recently or for a while, including a fan favorite coming back, the Tuskar.
That's going to be awesome. We've got other cultures there as well in the Dragon Isles. We're going to find out about a civilization of centaurs that predates the ones that arose on Kalimdor much later.
And some of our favorite characters that we've seen over the last few expansions, such as Rathian.
And whether he's ready to step up into a leadership role, or if there are other alternatives out there that would be better suited to the job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
I think one thing
I want him to be the
players
aspect.
are going to be really excited about this expansion is the new playable race, the Drakthir.
That's right.
And this is something that Neltharion, before he was Deathwing, before he went full crazy world dragon, that he put into motion.
Neltharion saw those primalists that were kind of breaking away from the aspects and what they wanted. And so in those first experiments, he took the essence of dragons, their strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that adaptability that the mortal races had. And he wanted to use that to create the ideal soldier in his mind, the Drakthir. Exploration is really one of the key themes
cool
of this expansion. We're going to be going to this ancient place that the dragons left behind long ago. So we've made these huge zones with all kinds of places to delve into and find little treasures and little secrets tucked away. It's going to be a lot of fun for players to be exploring these landscapes.
And there's so much architectural history and how clearly aspirational was the kingdom of the dragons and how it lost so much. And the themes of trying to return to that, to try to find your legacy, to try to figure out who you were before everything went awry. But there's questions, thematic questions of What does it mean to be true to your legacy? Are we going to repeat the mistakes of the past?
The dragons have had to learn those lessons just like the mortal kingdoms have had to. And I think that's one of the reasons why the dragons see this now as the time that they have to return and they have to step up once again as protectors of Azeroth. We're helping the dragons because the dragons have helped us in the past.
After the failure of Shadowlands, I would want to return to 10,000 years ago as well.
That allows us to delve into some of that history.
And when I look, upon the Dragon Isles in all of its visual splendor, I get so excited for the prospect of a truly Azerothian adventure alongside Calicos, along with Rathian, Ebonhorn, with Ysera's daughter Marithra, as each one of them is trying to find their own flight. I am taken by the exploration and the potential for adventure and just new horizons within this world.
There's going to be old stories from that time past, that history that only the dragons knew for the longest time. We're going to be able to explore that.
It really feels like just a breath of fresh air.
I like this.
So now we're going to turn things over to some of our colleagues who will take you on that deep dive into the locations and the features of Dragonflight.
So I already love this. I love the idea of going back, the amount of history that you can uncover. If they do this well, this could be fantastic.
Hello, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Gary.
And we're part of the teams that are building the first two zones that you'll encounter in the Dragon Isles, the Waking Shore and the Onaran Plains. The very first zone in Dragonflight you're going to come to is the Waking Shores. It's wild, untamed land. It's waking up around you too, and the elements are just going crazy.
The art team again has hit it out of the park.
You'll see like a
Always
lava
do.
mountain flowing in through the beach, giant proto-dragons swooping down, gobbling up members of your expedition.
We have such rife opportunities to show elementals rising up because of the crazy magic that's flying around.
The one of the things I love is just how you get to the Dragon Isles, right? So you're gonna get on your boat in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the first thing you do is sail between like the dragon ruin architectures. The boats come right alongside each other. You can jump from one boat to the other and just start causing havoc on the other faction's boat.
For those who love PvP, this is a great opportunity for war mode.
It's free for all out there. It's gonna be great.
Oh, shit, you
But
can
it's
actually
okay. There's
fight
an
on the way
innkeeper
there.
on the beach, so that
Easy.
if you're in that situation and you don't want to be in war mode anymore, you can just hop out right there.
The Reliquary and the Explorers League are working together.
The Horde and Alliance are sending an expedition together. It's not the military, it's not the soldiers. This is the scientists, the settlers, exploring this new land. So it's a lot more optimistic tone.
One of my favorite things about the Waking Shores is the Red Dragonflight, led by Queen Alexstrasza, the Lifebinder. They have the mandate of nurturing and protecting all life, which means Horde and Alliance, Gorloks, trolls, everybody. So they take that duty seriously. When the Horde and the Alliance come to the Waking Shores, they want to be there to help guide the people through the new land and welcome them. But they're not the only one in the Waking Shores.
We have the ancestral home of the Black Dragonflight there too, which has fallen on tough times since Deathwing's descent. And so Rathian's coming over to the Isles with us, and he's gonna try and come to terms with the state of the Dragonflight, which is a few loyal Draconids and Dragon Spawn trying to hold their ground. What can the future of the Dragonflight be if it's just Rathian? Because it's not just the dragons that are coming back to the Dragon Isles, but also their longtime rival, the Jarden.
I love the Jardins so much. They're half giants that wield the power of magma. And when the Waking Shores and the Dragon Isles went to slumber, they also slumbered. They're back now, and they are ready to raise chaos.
Yeah, they're massive. They're riding giant lava mammoths, parading around, just stomping on your face.
And they were
This format
the
feels
enemies
rushed.
of the Dragonfly for so long. They fought against the Red Dragonflight, hunted dragons down, and they're really taking this opportunity to rise up. As the Red Dragonflight have the mandate of nurturing life, they don't want to just stomp out the Jarden completely, but they want to make sure that they don't have the power to affect those around them negatively, to make sure they don't go on a rampage and destroy the ecosystem that has been created here.
And so those are awesome things in the Waking Shore, but Steph, there really is only one right answer for the best thing in Waking Shores, right?
What?
This is true. Ducks.
We finally have those webbed feet hooligans
The
in our
fuck?
game. We cracked the technology.
They
We've
can
got them
figure
in.
it out. They
Yep.
can fly.
You should be proud.
All right.
It's going to be awesome.
The
There's
Onaran Plains
ducks.
come right after the Waking Shores. It's so breathtaking at first glance.
The Onaran plains are big, wide open plains. And the player is going to be constricted a little bit, and then you see this big contrast of a zone. We don't always get that opportunity, that cinematic moment where the player can have a framed view when they see this area.
Come out and you got that postcard shot
love
of
that.
the plains. And then you see this giant fire proto-dragon breathing fire and a herd of centaur like harpoon down the proto-dragon and crash into the ground. And the first thing you get to do is go help them kill the proto-dragon. Like, how cool is that?
Who is Onara?
Onara is the wild god of the wind. And she's appeared before as like this big spirit eagle. She's the one who guided the centaur to the Dragon Isles many, many years ago. She blessed them, took their caravan across, and then showed them the plains.
How fun at the beginning of this expansion was exploring the culture of the centaur.
The centaur are these mighty, awesome hunters that back when they first came to the Dragon Isles, they fought the green dragons all day long. Eventually they realized that we're strong, you're strong, maybe we should stop decimating each other's people. We'll make peace, we'll make an agreement. You guys hang out in the groves and the centaur will hang out in the plains. But now the dragons have been gone for 10,000 years. And the centaur have come so far since then. And they've been here and they've been existing and developing their culture. They all came over as one clan led by the mighty Maruk and Tira, and they founded a new life here. So if you want to get across, you have to follow their rules and their traditions. You have to earn their trust. You are the first outsiders to come in generations upon generations. The centaur might rule the open plains, but the green dragons make their home in the groves. And those groves are absolutely gorgeous.
And how great a job it is that we have where I can take all of this beautiful artwork and build these beautiful fantasy groves, high fantasy. We want to do lots of things with an open plain and we want to be creative with them. But we're restraining ourselves by letting the zone sing, letting the horizon tell the story. We certainly couldn't have done that in the vanilla WoW.
No, definitely not. The zones are so big and you can see so far, especially in Onaran Plains. So we talked to the engineers and we actually increased that distance.
It spurs you on to want to adventure and look through the zone and explore everything.
The interesting thing for me is we have all these conflicts with the Dragonflights. There's missing dragons, there's battles, there's so much crazy stuff happening, but that's not really all we're doing.
I
There's
wish
so
we
much
could get
extra
more deep
fun
dive
activities for people to
into
do.
these
And the
zones.
greatest thing is that you need to figure out exactly what's going on and help solve all the problems that are just sprouting up everywhere.
We're just really excited to tell a story that's grounded in Azeroth and exploration. There's so much more to talk about. But now we're going to have some folks talking about the next two zones that players are going to experience in the Dragon Isles.
All right. It feels very, very rushed. Like we're getting very
Hello,
little
everyone. My name
information
is
here.
Kate. I'm Christy. I'm Kate.
I'm Sean. We're going to talk today about Valdrassus and the Azure Span. So Azure Span is going to be the third zone that players adventure through, and it's one of our biggest zones that we've done in the Dragonflight, maybe even to date.
We knew it was going to be like the largest visual elevation change, and it really started with this great concept art. When we first were taking a look at the design, we kept coming back to one of our favorite Wrath zones, which was Grizzly Hills. And we really wanted to take that, but wowify it more. And I don't know if you've ever been up to the Bay Area, but in the morning, that coastal fog comes in and dips down into the redwoods and that sun shines through. That's really what we wanted to encapsulate with this forest. And not only we have
That is
redwoods, but we've got
gorgeous.
all different types of trees. Eventually, it'll break open into this wide open tundra that's just golden and red, and you'll reach up
This
to
is beautiful.
another level of elevation where you get to see the snow. The majority of the zone is covered in snow and ice. We have giant frozen waterfalls, ice rivers as far as the eye can see. And Sean, I know in the forest, we can expect our first creatures.
We have a small group that lives there called the Knolls. These Knolls are all throughout the forest and Azure Span. They've made this their home. Some Knolls with strange magic that we're going to find out what exactly that's about. Snow Knolls, or as I call them, the Snolls, up in the winter area. And then some regular Knolls that are just going to be around
Was
the
that
forest
funny?
area. So then we go into the big open tundra where we meet our second group, the Tuskar.
It's going to be really neat to explore their culture a lot more.
And those kids are adorable. I absolutely love the Tuskar. Honestly, all my downtime's probably just me hanging out with
Just quickly want to say, I know we're pausing a bit here, but so first of all, Nixty, to your point there, I think the reason a lot of people are sort of negative in chat is because We've seen all of this before. We've had Shadowlands that promised a lot and ended up delivering very little. So I think a lot of people are just sort of tempering their expectations. You have to be a little bit hyped. The things that was announced here is good. It's good, solid announcements. We'll wait and see how it actually plays out, but, you know, at the end of the day, not too horrible, not too bad. What I love, actually, is something that I see a lot of people in chat sort of not thinking about. People making fun of the fact that, oh, none of this is new, guys. Tough shit. It shouldn't be new. This is, like, one of the oldest places on Azeroth. So, of course, much of what we already had on Azeroth is going to be here in one form or another. I actually like that. I'm fucking tired of new. I don't want to see new shit in World of Warcraft. Give me the stuff that I'm used to. Give me the things that I actually care about. And just FYI, the whole ducks thing is actually Blizzard listening to memes. Not long ago, on Twitter, someone actually legitimately said one of the things in World of Warcraft that he never realized until starting to think about it is that there are no ducks in World of Warcraft. So this actually proves that Blizzard is focusing on the community and the memes and realizing that people are saying, wait, there's no fucking ducks in WoW? What the hell? Right? So, yeah, I wouldn't say this is the worst thing. They're sort of doing a bit of community service here. I don't think that's bad. Ultimately, so far, I've not seen anything that is bad in this entire announcement. I don't like the format. I feel like it's a little bit rushed. I'm not getting enough deep dive into any of the questions that I may have about it, but then also at the same time, it's I can guarantee you guys this expansion is still very long from being done or anywhere near done. I think this is to basically tell players, don't give up on us yet, please. We're still here, we're still trying, give us a moment. The only thing I have a problem with is the way they're announcing things. It feels awkward.
The Tuskar.
So it's been a little while since we've seen them. We remember the Tuskar from Wrath of the Lich King. They're also getting a nice, cool up-res for their models, along with expanding their culture. So there are going to be male Tuskar, female Tuskar, Tuskar kids. So we're going to fight alongside them, which includes
I've always loved the Tuskar. Who doesn't?
Group of dragons, the blue dragons. We're going to follow the story of Kalagos, our blue dragon buddy from the Kirin Tor, and he's going to be adventuring into Syndragos' archives. It's a giant zone. There's a lot of surprises. When we're done there, we head over to Valdraz's.
Valdraz's.
It's really incredible because you will be going through some of the previous zones and seeing a lot of ruins for the dragon buildings. But when you get to Valdraz's, everything is perfectly intact. It's beautiful. It's pristine. It is the seat of power for all 5 Dragonflights and home of the dragons. It feels that way with the huge vertical mountains. We've got these great cave systems where you may end up finding little dragon hordes.
My favorite Dragonflight right now is the Bronze. They've got a really cool area in Valdraz's, and their magic is time. There's so many cool story hooks that we could dig into there. There's so many cool gameplay options. And we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I can't wait. We really wanted it to feel like their old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features is going to be the main city and player hub for this expansion, Valdraken. It is a culmination of all of the dragon's efforts to put together what a city would look like. So we ended up having a bunch of really fun small vignettes where you see that the blue Dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green Dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenience services for players, including an auction house in the city, which will be really nice if you're looking for more exotic wares. The thing that really sold me on Valdraz's was the initial concept art we got of Tierhold.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this is a 10,000-year-old Titan technological marvel. Tierhold has these awesome aqueducts that actually come out from the structure all the way to the city across the valley. And in the cinematic, there's just this amazing shot where you see Alexstrasza swoop under one of them, and there's splashes of water cresting across her wings. So when players are flying around themselves, they get to have their Alexstrasza moment. What an incredible
Let's
place,
see if the
and
engine
filled
can
with
handle that.
so much history.
Tyrhold was built by Tyr. He was a Titan Keeper back in the day who helped the Aspects fight Galakron. And when they settled on the Dragon Isles, he built this facility. And even though Tyr's gone, the dragons have held him in reverence. But that was 10,000 years ago, and they've let the Titans maintain the place. An incredible amount of history has happened since then. Flights have been nearly wiped out. There have been invasions, betrayals, Aspects have died. And these are the kind of things that leave marks on a society. So now they're all back here, and they're all here together.
As we were designing the zone and the city itself, we're trying to figure out, how do we tell those stories at the same time as making sure that this is a really convenient place for players to go and, go shopping, as they tend to do. So much adventuring happening on the Dragon Isles.
It's so cool.
As a player, you probably don't have your own dragon wings. You are going to learn the art of dragon riding.
It's so vertical, and I'm just excited to
I'm
dive
looking
off the
forward
tops
to
of
that,
towers
actually.
and swoop
Dragon
under
riding.
things.
It's actually one of the things that we're about to learn about next.
Hi, I'm Jake.
I'm Andy.
I'm Kali.
And I'm Graham. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about the Dragthyr Evoker, our new race and class coming in Dragonflight.
We're here to talk about not only the Evoker, but also dragon riding, which is our exciting expression into the exploration of the Dragon Isles.
We knew with a dragon-themed expansion, we wanted to let you play a dragon. Not a big dragon, Alexstrasza size. That'd be tough to fit into raids. I'm sorry, Jake.
Okay.
I know.
Fine.
But a draconic humanoid. So the Dragthyr, created by Neltharion.
And like our
They
other
look
hero
cool.
classes, you get to choose if you want to start on the Horde or Alliance side on character creation.
So let's talk a little bit about the Evoker, the class they can be. What's unique about it is because the Dragthyr are created by an aspect, they have the ability to wield the magic of all 5 Dragonflights. So Evokers can take advantage of red magic and blue magic and bronze magic.
And to show that, we created a visual, what we call a prismatic effect. This prismatic effect is basically the coalescence of all their energy as they channel it into whatever spell that they're going to cast. You have a red magic spell called Pyre. So when you shoot it out of your mouth, it twirls in the air with all 5 of the Dragonflight's magic as it turns into the red spell before landing on your enemies and exploding and hopefully burning them.
Fucking cool effects.
Getting that vibe across that they use all 5 was really important to us, but we did want to make sure that each specialization focused on 2, because casting 5 different colors gets a bit messy. So their damage dealer specialization, their first of 2, Devastation, mostly focuses on red and blue magic. Red being very fast and explosive, burning everything with Pyre, whereas blue is more focused and overwhelming. You can shoot a beam of energy out of your mouth to disintegrate one single enemy in front of you.
There's a healer spec called Preservation. The healer spec is going to focus mostly on your green and your bronze magic. So your green is going to be evocative of the Emerald Dream, your growth and your nurturing spells. And then you have your bronze magic, which is going to be more timey-wimey. So you get to heal a wound faster.
So in addition to the visuals and the animation, which all make you feel very powerful, we really wanted the player to have a physical connection to the cast. We have a new type of spell called Empower, where when you actually hold down the button on your keyboard, it charges up the spell. The longer you charge it up, it might do more damage or hit more targets depending on the spell.
Bit of action
but it gives you
combat
this
there.
really physical connection and control that's new for World of Warcraft, and I think is feeling really, really good.
We have some great animations. Thank you, Andy, your team.
You love it, Andy.
You feel physical when you're casting your spells.
You can actually fly around the battlefield and cast while you're flying.
Raining fire and death from above. It's great.
In addition to the gameplay, though, another part of feeling draconic is looking like a dragon.
Well, we talk about dragons breathing fire, but you know what's actually fire?
What's actually
These
fire?
customizations.
Oh my goodness.
But no, they're really, really
They're
cool.
awesome.
Because you have both your draconic form and your humanoid form. And the customization options for both of them are amazing.
They're very good.
What about color? Just tell me.
tell
you
us
can
about the
change
I like
color.
the tomb form.
You can do a
The
lot of magic.
2 forms.
So your visage form can have scales that are the same color as your Dracthyr form.
But my favorite, super favorite part of customization for the visage form, hair.
Yeah.
Because I can actually do this in game.
Yeah.
The tech is here.
We finally did it.
As players make their way through each of the areas of the Dragon Isles, they'll partner up with the Dragonflights to move through the air as they've never done before. You'll notice I did not say flying, because flight has a very specific meaning for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it does.
And we're talking about something new called dragon riding.
And as the players are honing their dragon riding skills, they're going to get to see all new animations that go along with the different look and feel
will this
of
be
the
something
drakes.
that sticks
We're
with the
aiming
next
to
expansion as
shake up
well?
movement with this new system, providing players with a deeper immersion with forces like momentum and gravity.
We knew that for Dragonflight, we were going to have the opportunity to show players a whole new set of Dragon Isle drakes, completely unique from all the other things they've seen in World of Warcraft. And so we wanted to come up with a movement system that would add that sense of physics, weight, and gravity, like you were mentioning. We knew it was going to take a huge team effort, not just animation, but it was going to take effects. It was going to take the engineering team, who we rely on heavily. And that combined with some new animations really helps to lend that feeling of physics as you move through the air in ways that you haven't before. And the icing on the cake is going to be some really cool effects that we've added on top of all of that. So for example, when you start hitting maximum velocity, you're going to see contrails coming off the edges of the wings. And then as you do your rolls and spirals, you build up more and more speed. There's going to be some screen effects on the display to indicate that you're reaching maximum velocity.
So they did say that this is actually once you arrive in the Shadowlands, in the Dragon Isles. Ian said that in the beginning. So this is not going to be something that sort of... It might actually be the first expansion where we have flying basically... Well, actually not the first expansion. There were expansions in the past where you could fly almost from the beginning. But this is going to, like... According to Ian, there's no time gate here. When you step in to the Dragon Isles, you get this ability. This is going to be one of the first things you get, and bam, you're going to have that, right? So it is actually pretty fucking cool. No time gating, just immediately get to fly around and have this new unique skill. And I get that many people in chat are saying this is Guild Wars 2. So what? That's the whole point. You take what works in other games. If it's cool, you add it to yours. You make slight changes so it's not just a straight copy pasta. And as long as it works and it's fun. I don't mind. I have problems with this expansion, and we'll talk about that at the end of the announcement. But for now, I will say, so far, everything they have announced is pretty cool.
Which really adds to the overall kind of immersion and sense of reality.
As players make their way through the Dragon Isles, they'll discover new cosmetic options to fine-tune their Dragon Isle Drake's appearances. Things like snoots, horns, tails, elusive Dragon Isle Drake armor, and more.
Can I have spikes?
Definitely.
Okay.
We want to provide players with all new skills to play with, as those who can use their momentum well can reach higher and higher heights, and bring on new, more difficult challenges.
We just have so many new gorgeous options to choose from, and I'm just so excited for all of them.
I'm excited for the whole thing. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to work on, but I can't wait to actually get in the game, play it with you guys.
I can't wait. I can't wait to fly around Dragon Isles. This is gonna be great.
Next up, you're going to hear about the talent revamp and the UI changes coming in Dragonflight.
Here we go. Here we go, chat. This is it. This is it.
Hello, my name is Brian.
I'm Crash.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Laura. We are very excited to share we are finally revamping the WoW HUD UI.
And it is also time for a major revamp to talents and specializations.
I have a big question for the group. How long do you think it took for us to finally revamp the WoW HUD?
My guess is like 15 years.
Close, 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Wow.
You know, technology has changed a lot since we made the UI back in 2004. Now you have like bigger monitors, and us, we have better dev tools to work with. So it makes sense to have the revamp right now. Also, if you look at the game today, the art evolved beautifully over the years. And if you look at the HUD looks like it got frozen time.
Guys, stop judging people for how they look. It's fine if you don't like it, but just look the other fucking way. Just focus on other things. What's the point? Let people be who the fuck they want to be. There's no point in judging people for doing whatever the fuck they want to do and however they want to look.
So when we approached this, we wanted to create a layout experience that players could customize, move things around, adjust it to fit their needs.
Add-ons today, they do a lot for player customization.
The downside is that not everybody uses them. It's about time that everybody has the opportunity to use them, that they become a part of the base UI.
Yeah, and we are working very closely with our user research team to make sure we are hitting the goals that our player needs.
It allowed us to add new functionality to improve accessibility in a lot of areas. And on top of that, we are going to be improving the art.
Yeah, so the art update,
right.
it's a big part of this project.
I'm
the UI
watching.
that we have today has a lot of charm and personality, and players have been using that for 18 years. So with that in mind, we want to respect the players who really like the current UI, but do a modern take to it, removing the clutter and giving more visibility for your gameplay. So the new minimap, it looks bigger, and the health bar is also much bigger. If
I
you
love
look at
the
the
style
action
here.
bars and the bottom menus, they have less head frames, and you can really open up your game.
I'll be honest, I would actually play with that UI. It looks modern, it looks stylish, you can move it around, you can probably change a bunch of things on it. I love the new art style. It's so much better than the fucking old bad one.
Play, so you don't have a lot of your UI in front of you. And of course, we want to find iconic pieces from the current HUD, but we want to bring it back in a nice way. So we for sure updating the Griffins. They look so nice now.
Yeah.
And the Horde, don't worry, we got you. We're going to have your version as well. So let's talk about the edit mode.
We are putting a mode in that will let players move various HUD elements around on the screen.
So I'm able to move the mini-map, say, from the right corner all the way over to the left corner. Or if I want to bring my action bars from the bottom and kind of put them more in the center by my character, those are all things that I'll be able to do?
Absolutely. And each of those different components will have various sets of options that you'll be able to work with. They'll be able to save it, edit it, copy it, name it. Also, it'll remember which spec you're in. So if you're someone who jumps around a lot, as you switch, it will switch to whatever HUD layout you have for that spec.
This is an ongoing project. We're going to keep working on it. So we really want to hear back from you.
A project that we're all excited about that we've been collaborating a lot on is something that's pretty UI intensive, and that's the talent system.
It hadn't changed in a long time, like you said before, and we really started with how can we have players have more choice over what their character has?
As you level up, we give you a new spell or a new ability, something that kind of makes you stronger, but it's determined by the designers. We decide the order.
Yeah, we started looking for a system that would give players a much wider set of options.
And after looking at all those things, what we really returned back to was the idea of trees. But it's actually two trees. We have a class tree that offer different class utility, and then we have a spec tree that is focused on performing your role, whether that's damage, tank, or healing.
Dude, did you guys just fucking hear that? You have your normal class tree and then spec tree. This is...
Can I just jump in and say that I personally am super excited about having trees come back. There's a big nostalgia hit for me.
As we said, we have these two trees because we feel like picking a specialization is a really important part of your World of Warcraft character now. And so we want to make sure that when you choose that, it kind of affects the tree in some way.
Yeah, as soon as you open your talent tree, you'll see something new. The class side will have some abilities filled out for free, just kind of starting you off in that spec you've chosen, but then you'll have your first point to spend in the class tree, which could be something related to that spec or role, or it could be something from elsewhere in the class.
There's a lot of things that we can do here, and part of that is encouraging players to perhaps make combinations that they've never really been able to see in the game before. This is an opportunity to put a lot more art and fantasy in the actual talent UI itself.
You have seen that a lot through most recent expansions, but not at the base UI.
We want you to be able to tinker with it. You know, we want you to be able to make a lot of changes at a lot of times and not necessarily have to commit. The power really is coming back to the player. It's not something we want people to feel locked into. And so one of the things that we'll be preserving is the ability to change these talents at the same kind of frequency that you do now.
Yeah, the old school players, when you see trees this time, just think, yeah, I'll go from my raid night to my arena match and figure out what I think is the best for both of those.
And that's a process we want to make really fluid. So we're building a save load feature that lets you create your build, name it, save it, and then load it up very quickly and freely.
Talents were really about the
fucking nice. No more going back to a city to change shit. Just have all your different builds and just go, right, I'm doing Mythic Plus now. Now I'm going raiding. Now I'm doing this. Fucking beautiful. Ease of access. You don't need to punish players if they want to make changes. Love it.
The breadth of options. We've made all these different cool things over the years, but when are they at their coolest? It's when players can hold the building blocks of what can make up their class, their spec, and put them together in a way that works for them.
So these are really cool features that we've been working long and hard on, and we're very excited about them. And it's just an early preview of the things we've been doing. We can't wait to see the reaction that you have to them, and please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on them. And next up, we're going to talk about professions in Dragonflight.
All right. here we go. Let's see what the profession revamp is going to be all about.
I'm Joanna.
And I'm Eric, and we're going to talk about our plans for professions in Dragonflight. Professions have been a staple of World of Warcraft forever, and they've seen lots of really cool incremental updates over their life. But for Dragonflight, we want to do something a bit different. We really want to rethink professions and figure out how to make them part of your identity as a player, if that's what you want.
We really want to make sure that professions feel fun and relevant across all levels of gameplay.
That brings us to our first update, something that we're calling crafting orders. If you want to have something crafted for you, but you don't have the skill or the right profession to do it for yourself, you can have it crafted through a crafting order. You can basically browse any of the recipes that can be crafted, pick the one you want for yourself, and then you include some or all of the reagents needed for the recipe, including ones that only you can get your hands on. You can find someone in person to do it right in front of you for you, or you can also go to an NPC and using an auction house-like interface, send the order out. If you're doing this, you can pick, do you want to send the order to anyone, sort of a public order, or do you want to only send it to your guild, or to a specific other player? Maybe it's a friend who you know will be able to craft the item really well for you.
If you are really dedicated to your craft, you're going to be the best at what you do.
One of the coolest things about this is the item you had crafted can also be soul-bound. In the past, you could only get your hands on crafted soul-bound items by having that profession yourself. Now anyone can have them crafted for them, which is really neat and really expands the number of items that we can provide that are really powerful because everyone can have them crafted through the crafting order system.
This is also really cool because it means as a crafter, you can start building your client base. People are going to come back to you to get certain items. When you're the best at making it, or you always want a little something extra. You're also going to be leveling up your profession. It's going to be really great.
So the first time you go to craft, you're going to notice a lot of different things, but probably the biggest is the introduction of quality, both to your crafted items and your gathered reagents. Quality works in a pretty simple way. If you craft something that's a higher quality, it's just going to be better. For a piece of gear, that probably means a higher item level. If it's, for instance, a potion, that might mean a more powerful effect at a higher quality.
And we're doing a lot of new things in the UI. We've put a lot of work into it to make sure that the professions feel really special and unique.
And another thing you might notice in the crafting UI that's new is the introduction of stats, specifically to your professions, both crafting and gathering. And this is another sort of major input into quality. Probably the biggest source of your ability to craft items at a higher quality is through crafting specializations. We've had crafting specializations in the past, as far back as original World of Warcraft. With Dragonflight, you can go out and earn specialization points in a whole bunch of different ways. So maybe you find an old book on a bookshelf in a ruin somewhere, or a hermit in a cave who can teach you a little bit about your profession. So let's say you're a blacksmith. You might decide that first you want to become an armor smith. And the more points you spend in armor smithing, the better you're going to get at crafting all armor.
This also means that if you specialize one way, other people in your guild may specialize in a completely different path. So this means that your guild could have several top blacksmiths and everybody is providing something unique and valuable to the team, which is really cool.
Now that reminds me of another update. We're actually adding crafting tables to all the different crafting professions. We're gonna take those and we're gonna put them all in the main city of Valdraken. And you're gonna go in there and you're gonna get to see all the different players crafting their items at their cool crafting tables.
Yeah, it means you're gonna walk into the city and you're gonna see like all these alchemists huddled over here, and you're gonna see all these blacksmiths over by the forge.
So you have to go to the table in order to craft stuff.
Grabbing orders. It's gonna be a whole new crafting area that's gonna make you feel really part of the world.
It just seems like a much more lively area than it has in the past.
What I'm most excited about though is the gear. We're introducing new types of gear for every profession. And when you go to say mine a node, you're actually gonna just switch into that gear. It's gonna be really great.
You're not gonna have to carry that stuff around in your backpack anymore. There's actually gonna be dedicated slots for each of your pieces of gear. But I'm a numbers guy, I love progressing. All pieces of profession gear will have those special stats that we mentioned before on them. And as you get your hands on better versions of the gear, it's really gonna help you get better at your profession.
I can't wait.
Thank you for tuning in to the Dragonflight Deep Dive.
They've still not really answered, like, the problem with this entire announcement is it's all superficial stuff that you could have guessed by them announcing that there's going to be a revamp and sort of showing some pictures. I'm not getting, like, what I want is how are you going to change the profession specifically? Like, for example, when you're talking about stats, what stats are you talking about? Like, what stats are going to be on this gear? Is this going to be something that I'm going to be doing at max level? Could it be something that I do specifically and I don't give a fuck about the rest of the game? If you guys understand what I mean. So if someone wants to be a pure crafter, is there stuff in this game for them to do that makes them only a crafter and they don't have to do anything else within the game? Because I feel like that's one of the places where World of Warcraft has always been lagging behind the competition. You go to Final Fantasy, its crafting is top tier. You go to ESO, the crafting is top tier. You go to almost every other fucking game and the crafting is just head and shoulders above anything that World of Warcraft offers their crafters. Crafting in World of Warcraft is basically a throwaway throwaway feature, because even if you could craft the best gear in the game, it's still horribly boring to do, because all you're doing as a crafter in World of Warcraft is looking at a UI, clicking a button that says craft more. There's no real interplay, or you're farming dead ass farming a bunch of mats and then looking at a UI and clicking a bunch of things. So you're still not really getting what would be the fantasy craftsmanship or the fantasy crafter idea. And that's what I want to know from them. Is that what we're getting, or are we is it still the same basic crafting, just, with new UI and stuff?
We've heard a lot about the content and changes coming in Dragonflight, and we've got a lot more in store for you in the coming months.
Until then, we'll see you in Azeroth.
Okay, I think that's the end of this. All right, that's the end of the announcement. Pretty good. They didn't give a release date. We know it's going to be somewhere 2023, right? Like I said, there's much in this expansion that was announced that I actually very much enjoyed. I would say actually everything that was announced, I'm hyped for and excited for. Everything. There's a couple of things that I'm sort of upset about because it isn't announced. It wasn't announced. That kind of upset me. So it's more, I think at this point, the things that I'm not that happy about has more to do with what wasn't announced than ultimately, what is announced. Because I think the new UI looks absolutely sick. The new talent trees look absolutely sick, and I will fight anyone that says it doesn't. We've been begging for proper talent trees in World of Warcraft for such a long time. The fact that we have the class talent tree and the spec talent tree makes it so that some of those things will just make sort of quality of life changes, which is really cool. And some of those things are going to be like class, power, all that shit. Very, very cool. The UI looks absolutely sick. The dragon flying, I don't give a fuck if it comes from Guild Wars 2. I don't care if it comes from Guild Wars 2. It looks good. It looks fun. It looks like something that I actually want to play with and I want to play around with. The world looks beautiful, as it always does. When they spoke about quest design, they spoke about nothing. They didn't actually tell us what the quest design is going to be about, how quest design is going to work. When they spoke about the lore, they gave us very little, other than this is very historically an historic expansion. We're going to learn a lot about the early days of World of Warcraft, before we were even a thought on Azeroth. So these are all things that I'm very excited for and things that I'm really looking forward to. But I'm not... There are things that I worry about, and we will talk about that in a second, because there are things that I wish would have happened that obviously didn't happen. Before I do that though, can someone quickly link me the new website? And while I wait, let me just quickly, Lazar, thanks for the follow, dude. Jeep the Yeet, thanks for the prime sub, dude, really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. Katkamisama, thanks for the follow, really appreciate that. Pew Pew. And Stepfister, thanks for the follow, really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you.